Good evening. Welcome to Core Fusion Yoga on my patio. Let's begin. Come to the tops of your mats. Ground your feet into your mat. Let's roll through our shoulders, drawing them up to the ears. Exhaling and open them up through the back. Inhale, roll them up. Exhale, widen back. Inhale and exhale. Let's do one more big circle through the shoulders, opening through the back. Stay wide across the collar. Bring your attention back down to your feet. Let's draw the arches up away from your mat, lifting up through the ankles, up through the shins, softening the knees, and then lifting them up by engaging through the fronts of the thighs. Internally rotate the thighs, allowing the sit bones to open up and the tail to lengthen down. Lift up through the pelvic floor, the belly draws in and up, and then continue to lift vertebrae upon vertebrae right out of the crown of the head. Let's bring attention to our breath as we soften the muscles of our face. Inhaling in through the nose, the belly, up through the chest. Exhaling from the chest, belly, and the nose. Let's take the arms wide. Inhale, come all the way up. Like an accordion, fold back down to the ground, taking the sit bones back. Inhale, lift all the way up. And exhale, hinging at the hips, lengthening the spine. Let's take a big hinge off to that left side. Back down to center, bending the knees. Inhale off to the other side, long side body stretch. And back down to the floor. Let's inhale, coming all the way up, this time long legs. Bring the palms together, the forearms together, press the palms to the ground. Inhale, lift those palms all the way to the sky. Exhale, bring the palms back down to the hips, back together, forearms, and swan dive forward. Bring belly to thighs, chest to the knees, relax through the forehead. Maybe look side to side, give the shoulders a little shake. And just become heavy through the spine. We'll start to roll up one vertebrae at a time, tilting the tail under, pulling up through the belly. Roll the shoulders open with a big breath. And then exhale, slowly come back to the ground, one vertebrae at a time. Let's lower our sit bones down. Inhale, the hands come up into chair pose. Lengthening through the spine, keeping shoulders away from ears. Taking a deep breath in to lengthen. Exhale, lower down a little bit. Inhale and exhale. Let's bring hands to the ground, keeping belly on the thighs. Lift the tail all the way up. And feel that long stretch through the back of the hamstrings and the back of the calves. Let's soften the knees. Inhale back into that chair pose. We're going to step back with that left foot, heel to the ground. Draw the elbows to the hips and reach. Making sure that the toes are turned forward, the heels placing right into the ground, getting that stretch to the back of the calf and into the Achilles. Let's take one more. Inhale, come up. And exhale, come down. Coming up, standing tall, curl that left toe under and lift out of the supporting hip. Open through the chest, with a little wiggle. Curl the toe under, lift up through the front of the ankle into the shin bone. A little release, and do it again. Keeping all the weight into that right supporting leg, lifting up through the navel, up through the pelvic floor. Let's do one more little stretch here. Curl and lift. Bring those feet back together. Inhale the arms all the way up. Like an accordion, fold to the ground, long, flat back. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, float to the ground. And inhale, lift. Lengthening the sit bones towards the back of your mat. Let's take one more breath. Inhale all the way up. And exhale to lower. This time, inhale off to that right side, long side body stretch. Back to center. And inhale off to that left side. Ribs up away from hips, tummy tight. Inhale all the way up. Let's bring the forearms together, the palms together, draw down towards the navel, intertwine the fingers the other direction, and then inhale, lift the hands all the way up. Maybe a slight back bend here. Bring palms back to the pelvis, hands back together, forearms back together, elbows together, and swan dive forward. Again, become heavy through the upper spine. Start to roll out vertebrae upon vertebrae. Inhale when you get to the top, wide through the chest, open up. And exhale, shoulders roll down, slowly back to the ground. Let's inhale the hands forward, come back into that chair, lengthening to the sit bones, and step back with the right foot. Keeping feet parallel to one another, lift up onto that back toe, press the heel back to the ground. Feel the stretch to the back of the calf and into the Achilles, and lower. Inhale, elbows drawn towards the back hip pockets, and then reach up, or take one more, and come on down. Let's stand up nice and tall, hands down to our hips, curl the toe under, lifting out of that right leg, lifting out the left supporting hip. Relax to the foot, curl the toe under, lift up. So try not to push pressure into that foot, into your mat, but lift away from the mat. Release, and two more times. Lengthen, feel that stretch through the ankle, the base of the foot, the base of the toes, into the front of that shin bone. And one more time. Let's bring those feet back together. Inhale the arms all the way up. Exhale, swan dive forward, hands to the floor. Lower the sit bones, lift the arms back into chair. Step back left leg. We're going to come up onto that toe. Lower the heel to the ground. Float forward into toppling tree. Point the toe behind you. Reach the hands. Bring that leg all the way through and up. Flex the foot. Inhale, open that leg out. Bring that knee back. And then lengthen it back into that toppling tree, reaching the fingers behind. Slowly lower to the ground, lower to the heel, reach hands up in front, and do it again. Up to the toe. Lower to the heel. Tip forward, coming into toppling tree. Point that toe back. Inhale, lift forward. If you want to step in between, you can. Bring your knee up, flex foot. Draw the elbows down as you open the knee out to the side, keeping hip bones forward. Bring back together. Lengthen back out. Lots of stability here. Pull up through the pelvic floor. Lower to the toe, to the heel. Come up to that toe. Keep the pelvic floor lifted. Lower to the heel. Reach the hands out in front. Tip forward, toppling tree. Point the toe back. Lengthening out through that back leg. Step forward or bring that knee forward. Your choice. Draw elbows out. Open that knee. Hips turn forward. Really squeeze through that left bum cheek. Glute medius. Lengthen that toe back. Lowering to the ground. Hands back up in front. Let's take one more time. Up to the toe. Down to the heel. Tip forward. Lengthen and lift out of right leg. Reach back with left leg. Bring that leg through. Remember, you can always step here. Flex the foot. Draw elbows out. Open knee out. And then cross that left heel over the right thigh. Sink back into a figure 4 chair pose. Keeping that foot flexed, open through the knee. Keep shoulders and hips square and sink back, reaching the sit bones behind you. Breathe, lengthening the crown of the head up as the tail reaches down. And breathe. We're going to squeeze those legs a little closer together as we come into our eagle legs. Hands can stay where they are, or wrap that left one under the right into modified arms, or twist tie into eagle arms. Keep drawing the belly in, pull the pelvic floor up, and really squeeze to the inner thighs. That left toe can rest on the floor if you choose, or it can wrap around the back of the calf. Let's lift all the way up tall, stepping left foot in front of right foot as we come into our balance beam. Hands can stack forearm to forearm. They can rest in the back hip pockets or come into reverse prayer position. Roll the tips of the shoulders back, widen through the collar. You can keep your eyes just lower to the ground while the chin stays parallel, or you can close them completely. And just find that balance between front foot and back foot. Lifting out of the ankles, the shins, the knees, up out of the hips. Lengthening and lifting as you inhale, and relaxing the neck, the shoulder, the face muscles as you exhale. Inhaling to think tall. Exhaling to draw the navel in. Let's inhale the hands all the way up. Keeping the legs as they are. Exhale, swan dive forward into a little forward fold. Bringing that belly towards that left leg. Really lift the left sit bone up. You can use a block or you can use your hands right to the mat. But really lift up through that left leg. Feel the stretch. Left hamstring, left bum cheek. Again, trying to keep the hips as square as possible to the mat. And allowing that belly to rest on the thigh, navel just on the inside of the thigh. Let's inhale, come on up back into that chair, stepping back with our right leg as we continue on the other side. Come up onto the toe, heel to the ground, float forward, hands back, lengthen and lift that back toe. Option to keep the toe on the ground. Bring that leg through. Again, option to step first and then lift it up. And then elbows open as the knee opens with a flex foot. Bring that leg back center and float on back. Lowering the toe, lowering the heel, reach the arms. Inhale, come up on the toe. Exhale, press down. Float forward. Think about your left hip. Really working through the hip here. Squeezing the glute for stability, pulling up through the pelvic floor. Lift that knee up. Draw elbows wide, open the knee. Bring those arms back, knee back to center. Float forward, point the toe, lengthen. Lower the toe, lower the heel, reach the arms. Let's try one more. Up on that toe, down to the heel. Float forward, lengthen and lift. Inhale, draw that knee forward, hands come up, stabilize, bumping that left hip out slightly. Open the knee, open the arms wide across the chest, squeeze the glutes, draw it back in. Oh, we're going to take one more. Lengthen back into that toppling tree. Lower the toe, lower the heel, reach the hands. Lift up onto that toe, down to the heel. Float forward, last one I promise. Lengthening, working through that stabilizing hip. Reach the hands up, bring the knee up, flex that foot. Elbows come wide, knee comes wide. Squeeze the glutes. Let's draw that ankle across that left thigh and sink back into our figure four chair pose. Again, lots of options here. You can support yourself with a chair, with a wall. Hands stay out to the side. They can come down onto the thigh. Your option, or just bring the toe to the ground. Let's squeeze those legs in a little bit more for our eagle legs. Wrap them around, either into modified arms or into twist-tied arms. And again, you can choose your legs. Toe might rest on the floor for a bit more stability. Find that little spot to focus on. Pull the belly in, draw out through the pelvic floor. Breathe, lengthening as you inhale, squeezing as you exhale. Coming all the way up tall for that last breath. Right foot in front of left foot. Let's find balance between both feet. Find yourselves nice and tall, up through the ankles, the knees, the hips. The navel draws in and up, the pelvic floor lifts. The chin parallel to the ground, the crown reaching, lowering the gaze or closing your eyes. And focus on your breath. Focus on lifting away from your mat rather than sinking into your mat. And breathe. Let's inhale the hands all the way up. Again, with these split legs, let's forward fold over top of that right leg. You can use that block, or you can come right down to the ground, belly to the thighs, chest towards the knees, really lifting through right sit bone. This is where you're going to feel the stretch up through the back of the hamstring into that bum. Trying to keep the hips square, trying to lengthen as much as possible, but be kind. Bend the knees as much as you need to. And then sink the hips back. Let's inhale the hands forward, coming back into that chair pose. And stepping back left again. Heel to the ground, toe forward. So let's come up onto that toe. Lower to the heel. Float forward. You need to take a break for that right hip. Please take a break. This is lots of stability here. We're going to bring our hands forward and flex our back heel as we come into warrior 3 or T-pose. Pressing out through the heel, reaching out through the fingertips. Go ahead and start to reach down towards the ground, to a chair or to your block. Keep reaching out through that heel. Hips are as square as possible to start. And then you're going to reach back with that left hand as you start to roll the left hip open. Right bum cheek is going to squeeze in as you lift up into this half moon balance pose. This is a great pose to do against a wall, or again, use a chair or your foam block. Pressing out through your heel, turning your left toe towards the side, or perhaps balance. Don't use anything. Spread fingers apart from one another, one up, one down, open through the chest, keep squeezing, keep opening, and then bend the knee, step back as you come into warrior 2. Let's come up and sink down into your warrior 2. Just to give those hips a little bit of a break. That back foot parallel to the back of your mat, walking the toe slightly forward. And as you lift and lower, just watch that front knee. Externally rotate to bring knee towards the second and third toe. And open on up. Let's feel wide through the chest. We're going to lower the back arm, lift the front arm coming into that exalted warrior, and then windmill the arms into side angle pose. Allow the rib to sink down, and then lengthen and lift up into our exalted warrior, and exhale down into that side angle pose. A long line from heel to hip to armpit to hand. Let's go ahead and take one more. Inhaling, open through the chest and the belly. And exhaling, sink into that side angle pose, a nice long side body stretch. This time, as you inhale, long straight leg, keep them straight, and windmill into triangle. Feel free to use your block inside that leg for a little support, or let the hand rest on the shin or down towards the floor, depending on your flexibility. Let's bump left hip back and up. A nice long line. Right hip bone rests on right thigh bone. Lengthen through the crown of the head. Reaching the arms or tucking that top hand behind. We're going to spin back up. Turn your toes towards the long seam of your mat. Lift all the way up tall and come into a wide-legged fold. Feet parallel to one another. Use your block or use your mat. Internally rotate the thighs a little bit to open the sit bones and allow the tail to roll up. Hands can be out to the side for a little bit more active forward fold, or you can rest them to the ground. You can cross at the forearms. You can reach behind you. Your option, your practice. Let's turn our toes out slightly. We're going to bend at the knees, trying to open them up as much as possible by squeezing through those glutes, and then just hinge over to one side. There's an option to bring up that long legs toe. So that's just an option. Drawing in through baby toe side as you sink your hips back, as you just slide from side to side. And I use my forearm to help keep that knee over top of the ankle. Keep sinking the hips back. The weight is back into your heels, feeling the stretch in through the groin and the inner thighs. We're going to come one more time to a long leg on the right and on the left. And then spin yourself all the way around to the back of your mat and step your feet back together into forward fold. Let's come all the way up, a little roll, vertebrae upon vertebrae. Readjust the garments if you need to, and swan dive back forward. Inhale, coming up into that chair pose. Let's step back with the left leg this time. Inhale up onto the toe, lower down to the heel, float forward into that toppling tree as you point your toe. And then bring those hands forward, pressing out through the heel. Keep reaching. Go ahead and grab that block if you want. We're coming into that warrior 3 or T pose. Hands compressed in the ground, and then start to open up through that top hip as you turn your toe towards the side of your mat. You can keep your hand on that top hip as you squeeze the lower bum cheek towards the center of your body, or reach them all the way up. Keep reaching that right hand tall, or keep it on that hip bone. Keep squeezing that butt cheek, opening through the chest. Or perhaps try your balance and then step back into warrior 2 on the other side. Lift and lower, again, to give those hips a little bit of a break. Watch the knee, making sure that it externally rotates towards second and third toe. The spine is tall, the back leg is long, but you pull the knee up away from that shin bone. Feel strong out of that back foot. Keeping the toe turned slightly forward. We're going to lower that back arm, lift the front arm. The front leg stays bent in our first exalted warrior. And then bring that top hand onto the front thigh and come into side angle pose. Keep the shoulders drawn away from the ears, armpit open to the side. Inhale, come up. This time extend that front leg, long front leg, and then bend into your side angle pose. Inhale to come up. Exhale, reaching that right hand over top. Inhale to lift. Exhale, last long reach. This time, inhale, come all the way up. Keep that front leg long. Spin your hands as you come into triangle on the other side. Again, feel free to use your block. We want to create this long line through the spine. Side bodies are even and long. Left hip bone resting on left thigh bone. Right hip bumping out, tipping the tail up, reaching out through the crown of the head. Go ahead and come all the way up tall. Spin those toes back towards the side of your mat and forward fold. Again, with your block, or cross your arms in the other direction, hands to elbows, or reach to the outsides of the feet to draw a little closer for an active forward fold. I'm going to press into that block or the floor, and this time we're going to reach that right hand all the way up, tuck it into our hip, or reach up high as we come into a little twist pose. We want the sacrum flat, so sit bones reaching back evenly, feeling that rotation through the waist and the ribs as that right hand reaches up or stays tucked into the back hip pocket. Let's bring that hand back to center. A little fold. Lengthen and lift out a nice long spine, and then inhale that other hand up to that back hip pocket or reach up tall. Try to open across the chest and into the armpit rather than rolling that shoulder and that hand back. This is a really nice chest opener as well as a rotation through the spine. I'm going to bring that hand all the way down. A little forward fold just to release. And then hands at the hip creases. Exhale, come halfway up. Inhale and exhale the rest of the way. I'm going to turn the toes out. Bend at the knees, trying to open them up. Spin the thighs back. Externally rotate. Lifting up tall into a star and exhale down into this little warrior princess. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, lower down, elbows staying back, wide across the chest. One more lift, and one more down. Feel strong through the thighs, feel open through the chest, and go ahead and try and lift one heel at a time. Working through those quads, working through the calves, working your balance. Pull the pelvic floor up, navel draws in and up. Strong warrior pose here. Let's go ahead and try both heels. Lift, lift, lift. See how you can do this. all in fun. And then go ahead, come up onto the toes, reach out with the hands, big star. Hands back to the hips, rotate that front toe, pivot that back foot. Bring the hands down, step back into your downward dog. Give those hips a break. Pedal out the knees, pedal out the hips, side to side. Feel that nice needed stretch through the bum. Let's come up onto the toes, one flow through, coming into your plank. This is optional. Chaturanga, come down. Inhale, baby cobra, or a little bit higher, coming into up dog, toes on the floor, knees off. Tuck those toes under and come back to the down dog. You might already be here. Let's go ahead and bring the knees wide onto our mat and sink back into wide-legged child's pose. Try to curl that tail down to the heel as much as you can to get the roundness through that low back. And then either leave the hands under the forehead or wrap them around your thighs. As you just release the tension of everything you've just completed. And breathe. We're going to slowly come up, bring those legs back out in front. We're just going to reach the right leg out in front. The left leg can be bent, foot towards the inner thigh, or you can lengthen it long. As we come into a single leg forward fold, we want this to be a long spine. The knee can be soft. You can use a strap, or you can reach with your hands to the outsides of the shin or to the outsides of the foot. But tilt the tail back slightly so that you're stretching through the leg, not through the back muscles. Lifting up tall as you inhale, and exhaling, fold at the creases of the hips. I'm going to take one more breath, and this time as you exhale, just melt over top of that right leg. Tucking the chin in slightly, rounding out through the back at this time. And then come all the way up. Let's lift that leg up and over the top of the right one. Keep the right heel pushing away the toe up. Windmilling the left arm back. Right hand can draw that leg, opposite leg, into the belly. Or you can tuck it to the outside of that thigh as we come into seated twist. Making sure both sit bones press firmly into your mat. Lifting tall through the spine, and then one vertebrae at a time. Allow your spine to rotate open. Inhaling the crown of the head up. Exhaling that rotation. Inhaling to lift. Let's go ahead and come all the way around, maybe a little counter twist to the other side, and come back to center. We're going to cross that right foot in front of the left for a bit of a wider cross leg. Push from behind, come on forward onto the fronts of the sit bones. As we come into our final forward fold on this side for the hips. You can use those forearms to help lengthen the spine as you press away from the shin bones. Again, tip your tail back. You should feel this stretch into the hips. Only go as far as the body will let you to keep this nice long spine. And come on up. Come into little cobblers, soles of the feet together, and then just flutter the knees as you come onto the other side. Lengthen the left leg, right knee can stay bent or out to the side. Focusing on hinging at that hip crease. Tilting the sit bone back. Reaching to the outside of the foot, the outside of the leg, or using a strap. Inhaling to lengthen through the crown of the head as you exhale, belly to thigh, long back. And then on that next breath, just allow the body to float down towards the knee. Find the roundness of the spine. Relax into your pose. And inhale, come all the way up. Let's take that bent leg, bring it over top of the straight leg. Hugging that thigh into the belly. Windmill the right hand all the way up. Let it act as that second spine to lift from the tail. That left hand can tuck to the outside of the thigh, or it just can continue to cradle the leg into the belly as you lift up. Both sit bones firm into the mat evenly. Inhaling to lengthen, and exhale, find that gentle twist. Let's come all the way back, maybe a little counter twist off the other side. And then come into that little cross-legged position again. Left leg in front of right, ankles lined up with the pelvis. You can use those forearms into the shin as you lengthen through that spine into that forward fold. Tipping the tail back, pelvic floor towards your mat. Inhaling nice and long, exhaling, releasing in through the hips. Let's come all the way up. Bring those feet to the outside seams of your mat, and then just windshield wiper them side to side. Lots of work through our hip stabilizers tonight. So just give them a little movement. A nice big stretch, and then come into your cross-legged finishing pose. Hands can be down in front or on your legs. Just find the sit bones firm and even beneath you. Feel a lift and length of the spine through the crown. Relax through the hip joints, through the face muscles, through the jaw. And just follow the breath as you inhale in through the nose, the belly, up into your lungs. Exhaling from lungs, belly, and nose. Let's inhale our hands one more time wide to the sky. Embrace this evening and your practice. Bring hands back down to heart center, and namaste. Thank you for joining me on my patio. Have an awesome week.